Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you might be new. Welcome to Storytime Sunday. So, today's story is multiple stories, but they all circle back to one, which is the story of me and my husband. Like how we met, like how we got together, our marriage, kids, all that kind of stuff, basically from where we started to where we are now. And there's going to be a few shoot off stories or detour stories, whatever you want to call it, but trust me, you need to understand them to understand why we're here. It'll make sense, I feel like. But also, if you have been a follower of mine for a while, or maybe even if you are new, hopefully this information doesn't like change your perspective of me or your judgment of me, or however you want to put that, because some skeletons are about to come walking out of the closet in a little bit here, so bear with me. But anyway, let's get into it. So my husband and I met in high school. I've mentioned that in a Q&A or a few times before, I think, but we were both sophomores at the same high school. We were in 10th grade when we met. We did not go to the same elementary school or junior high, but we did have like mutual friends that we both knew, that maybe some of the people went to the schools I went to that then he met at our high school, or vice versa, whatever it is. So there was a friend that we both knew that really wasn't even my friend, but I had a crush on him in 9th grade in junior high. At the time, 9th grade was still part of junior high. It was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade was junior high. 10, 11, 12, those grades were high school. Anyway, I had a crush on this kid. He didn't, you know, give me the time of day, whatever. Doesn't matter. Apparently, sophomore year rolls around, he had a crush on me, I guess. But Matt was friends with him, and I still would randomly kind of talk to him and say hi. But I never saw Matt before. We met, I think, in like October, November, or December, I don't remember, of our sophomore year of high school. And we dated. It wasn't even like serious. We called each other like boyfriend, girlfriend. We held hands. We kind of like kissed every now and then. But we didn't even hang out outside of school. We didn't even go on a date or anything at all. I think we dated for like a month or two maybe, but I remember we dated in December, January, because it was cold outside. I remember that as well. So anyway, we only dated for a little while, then we broke up. I think he broke up with me, actually. Then he actually ended up leaving that school to go to a different school, so we weren't even there together for a long time anyway. So fast forward to a different part of the story now. Well, throughout the years, we still had each other on AIM. If you used AIM chat, like AOL chat, let me know in the comments down below. I feel like I'm showing my age here. So we would randomly kind of talk on there, and email was still a thing back then. So we emailed randomly every once in a while, like maybe 3 times a year. But it was just like, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Good, cool, what's up? Nothing, what are you doing? Like, it wasn't even actual conversation really, but we kind of kept in touch here and there throughout the years. So fast forward to me at age 19. So him and I dated at age 16. We were both 16 at the time when we dated. Fast forward to age 19 for me. This is where the skeletons are gonna come out, but bear with me. So I had this boyfriend, let's call him Bob. I also had dated him back in high school as well. I knew him actually for a lot longer and dated him a lot longer than I did Matt. I don't remember what months or anything. Like, my timeline is all messed up. I don't remember from high school now. But we were like on and off throughout the years. He actually had a child with someone else by the time like we dated again, if that makes any sense. Like, we dated before, we broke up. He dated someone else, had a kid. We like found each other again, dated again, if that makes sense. So Bob and I were not really, what is the word? We were like on again, off again quite a bit. And so when I was 19, I moved out of my parents' house. I mentioned that in a recent video. and it was like maybe 2 weeks or a month. Well, I don't remember. It was not that long after I moved out of my parents' house that I got pregnant with my daughter. So, information here, Lacey is not Matt's biological daughter. So, let me explain though. Because Bob and I were on again, off again, on again, off again, it wasn't toxic, but it wasn't like healthy either. You know what I mean? We would break up over really stupid stuff, get back together, break up again, whatever. So also we need to bring into the picture Bill. We'll call him Bill. Bill and I had dated my junior year of high school. So Matt and Bob, I dated my sophomore year at different points. Bill, I dated my junior year of high school. He did not go to that school or anything. Neither did Bob. So Bill and I had dated, I don't remember either, 4 months, 6 months. I don't remember, you guys. Anyway, the point is we dated, then we broke up, and then him and I don't think really talked that much. Once again, what is it with like exes coming back or wanting to be back with your ex? I don't know. So Bill and I had kind of started talking again, and he was kind of giving vibes like he wanted to date again, and I wasn't really into that. And because I was still on again, off again with Bob, who I was like trying to work things out with, mind you, I'm 19. It's not like, you know, trying to work things out. It wasn't that serious. Anyway, so at one point though, and this is gonna sound terrible, Bob and I had broken up again, but I don't remember why. I think he was like, I found something in his phone that I thought he was cheating on me or something. So we like broke up. I was upset about it, whatever. It was a 2-week time frame, and my parents know about this. My mom watches my videos. My husband knows about this. My mom knows about it, whatever. I had slept with Bob at one point. Within a 2-week time frame of sleeping with Bob, I also slept with Bill. Now, the timeline of my last period, these situations, and everything else, when I found out that I was pregnant, we all thought that it was Bob's baby because of the timeline and all that kind of stuff. I think I told both of them. I for sure told Bob. I don't really remember. And we were all pretty sure that this baby was Bob's, and this baby is Lacey, if you're curious. So at this time, obviously, Matt and I are not talking. By the way, it was, I don't know, we hadn't talked in a while. So I only had gone to Bill. Well, I was gonna see if maybe we could start to work things out because Bob was so on again, off again. I was kind of, I don't know. Like I was trying to work things out, but at one point you just gotta realize that nothing will happen. So I don't know, but I was upset and pissed off. So, you know, I went to Bill, stupid teenage stuff, which I do not condone, just so you know. But it gave me my daughter. So in the end, it all works out. We go on with the pregnancy, which I did a video on a long time ago. Like when I first started my channel, it's actually Lacey's birth story because she was born really early. She was in the NICU. I was only 27 weeks pregnant when she was born. If you watched that video, this story might make sense. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it up in the iCard for you. It is dark. My audio is probably not great. I don't think there's like background music. It's a little rough, but still, the story of her, like my pregnancy and her being born, I think because of all this stress that I was under could be partly why she was born so early. But anyway, we went through the entire pregnancy up to 27 weeks believing and thinking that this baby was Bob's, right? But we were not for sure. What we were going to do was get a paternity test when the baby was born to make sure she was Bob's. So he was at ultrasounds, he went to doctor appointments with me, stuff like that. Fast forward to me having the baby, Bob, who we thought was the father, I had called him that night that I went to the hospital. Again, if you watch the birth story, this will make sense to you. So him and I went together to the hospital. They told me she was gonna be born like right then and there. I was 7 centimeters dilated, which actually I turned out to be 5 centimeters dilated. But he was there in the hospital with me. He was there for her birth. We thought that she was his. So his name went on her birth certificate. She did take my last name, my maiden name, originally, just because I didn't want her to have his last name. I honestly do not like either of their last names. I think they're both kind of ugly. But anyway, so I gave her my maiden name also just in case she was Bill's instead of Bob's. There were no issues, right? If she had my last name, it wouldn't matter. So he was there for her birth. Well, she was home from the hospital when we did it. So she was maybe 4, 5 months old or something like that. We just went to like Walgreens and bought like an oral swab, like DNA test. So I don't know how accurate those are. We swabbed like her cheek, my cheek, and Bob's cheek, I believe. And I told Bill obviously about everything that was going on. Like I informed him that she was born early and all that stuff, just in case he was the father, like he should be aware of the things that are happening to his potential daughter. It was a mess. And obviously my parents were not proud to begin with that I was pregnant, unmarried. I was 19 years old when I got pregnant. By the time she was born, I was 20. But yeah, they were not very happy. They were not very proud. It was a crazy situation. Add to the mix that she was preemie. It was my first child. There was a lot going on, you guys. It was crazy, stressful. Lacey came home from the hospital when she was about 3.5 months old because she was in the NICU for so long. So we went to go get this test. We did have to like mail it in and everything. We got mailed the DNA results and it turns out she was not Bob's daughter. She was Bill's daughter. Going with the test information, that's all we had to go off of. Obviously, you know, Bob and I were upset. We thought with the timeline and everything that happened that she was going to be his. That was not the case. So of course he was upset. He was aware. I had told him before about the incident with Bill. So he had been aware of it, but we were just hoping she was his. Obviously he was upset. He started treating me very, very differently. He started using Lacey as like a pawn, if you want to call it that. Like at any point, if him and I argued, because we were still trying to be together through this anyway, because Bill was not like wanting to be around really or anything like that. Like he was not accepting that he had a daughter, you know, because he hadn't been through the whole thing like Bob did. It was a big old mess. Anyway, anytime that Bob and I would get into a fight or something, he was basically like my babysitter when I would go to work. You know, he would stay over. He didn't really live with me, but he would spend the night, you know, a lot and hang out with me during the day a lot and whatnot. And basically anytime that we had an argument, if he was upset at me, if we fought at all over anything, he would tell me that I needed to find a different babysitter. So he really like held that over my head that she was not his daughter. And so anytime that he was upset with me, he would not watch her so I could go to work. So we were really on again, off again, dating, not dating, back and forth a lot. And it was just really crappy. So there were a lot of times I had to call off of work because, I mean, I'm a single mom trying to take care of her by myself. It was just her and I that lived together in the apartment. Like I said, he didn't actually live there. He did not contribute to bills. He did not contribute to, you know, food or anything. Even though he was eating my food, he would shower over there, all that kind of stuff. But because he wanted to be vindictive, maybe is that the word? He just wanted to be an asshole, really, because of the situation, which I understand. But at the same time, that's really low to do that to somebody. I was working 40 hours a week. I was not even making enough money to cover all of our bills and everything, and she was on, which luckily she was on Access, so all of her special medications, all of her like her feeding tube and everything that she needed, all of her doctor's appointments, like she was on special formula from being preemie, like all of this stuff luckily was covered. But still, like food for me, my apartment, my car that I had, my phone, just everything, it was really hard to do by myself with her. My parents helped a lot during that time, but yeah, I was on my own with her. So eventually I got a lady that used to babysit me when I was younger to help me out, and she watched her for free. It was great. So I would bring her over there. Once we told Bill and Bob, obviously, about the news that Lacey was Bill's daughter. I had known Bill's mom too from when we dated our junior year of high school. So even though Bill did not want to be around, did not want to step up and be a father, his mom actually did. His mom and his stepdad, who she was married to, stepped up and helped a lot too. So she also started to babysit Lacey, and she would like buy her diapers and clothes, and she got her like birthday presents and everything else, and they were around and they were helpful to their granddaughter, even though Bill was nowhere to be seen. So that was helpful though as well. So I had a lot of like family members, friends, family friends watch her so I could work, because Bob at one point, you know, like we were just done, over with, whatever, wasn't worth it anymore. And I was just sick of the cycle. So fast forward now back to Matt to October 2011. Was it October? Yes. So I was single, not dating Bill, not dating Bob. Bill, her biological father, like I said, was nowhere to be seen, not around, whatever. So I just happened to feel like looking up my husband, Matt, on Facebook. So I typed in his name just to see, you know, what he was doing in life. It had been, I don't know, at least a year or more since we last talked. I sent him a message on Facebook and was just like, hey, how's it going? Or, you know, hey, what's up, whatever. So he actually responded that day. I think we actually ended up hanging out like that night. He actually lived like right across the street from me, lo and behold. It was like it was meant to be, right? Weird. So, you know, obviously he had found out that I had a daughter and everything. Lacey was only 10 months old at the time. Actually, she was 9.5 months old when him and I first like hung out together. When he first met her, she was like 9 or 9.5 months old at the time. So she wasn't even like crawling yet. She wasn't sitting up on her own yet, anything like that. She was delayed and everything. She still had her feeding tube or a Mickey button or a G tube in her stomach at the time too. So she was still super little, super behind on everything, all of that. I mean, that was it. Really. We didn't start like dating until like November, but he hung out with me and Lacey that first night that we started talking, just because he lived so close. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like so weird, you know, like you should come over. So he did. Anyway, sorry, this is bothering me. I told him that story because I'm like, listen, like I have a daughter, but you need to know the story behind it, because there's like drama going on and, you know, all this stuff, because he was curious, you know, if her biological father was in the picture or not. So I had to explain that whole story to him, and, you know, I felt really embarrassed. I mean, I don't really anymore. It's been years and years. I'm 29 now. I was 20 when Lacey was born. So obviously it's been quite some time. So he really stepped up and stepped in, and what's awesome and so cute is he actually told me a long time ago, and will remind me to this day, that he actually fell in love with Lacey first before falling in love with me. And I just thought that was so adorable and so cute, and now I'm getting teary-eyed. I have glasses on, this isn't even doing anything. What's funny is him and I had gone to Walmart or something, and I had gotten a few groceries, you know, Lacey was with us obviously, sitting in the cart and everything, and I forgot something, and I was like, oh, hang on, like I need to go grab, like, I was in the makeup area, I remember that. So I don't know what I was grabbing, but I remember it was in like cosmetics, like pharmacy cosmetic area. So I was like, oh, hang on, I'll be right back, you know. And I think we'd been dating or talking, whatever, for like a month or something. I don't know if we were dating quite yet or not, but I trusted him enough because we had been hanging out and stuff, and I had him over around her, and he was like learning the Mickey button, and he was even like helping to make bottles and all that kind of stuff, you know. So I was like, oh, hang on, I'll be right back. So I went to go grab something, and when I came back, it was time, like he had finished like scanning stuff for me. So he had just like slid his debit card into the card reader, and I was like, no, I got it. Wait, like, what are you doing? He's like, no, it's okay. I got you. I got this one. It's okay. It was like $45 worth of stuff. But to me, a struggling single mom that has like zero money ever was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Like, it's $45. Like, don't buy that for me. Like, it's fine. you know? And he's like, no, I got it. It's totally fine. Like, it's just $45 to him, you know, single guy, not, you know, caring the world. So I was like, oh, thank you. Like, it meant so much to me. It really like touched my heart that he wanted to spend $45, and it was just like groceries and I don't know, wipes for her and, you know, whatever, baby food, baby cereal, whatever it was, you know. So I was just like, that's so thoughtful, that's so awesome of you, like, thank you. Like, he didn't know, like, just such a little gesture like that can make the world of difference, especially to single moms, struggling single moms, or dads, but obviously I was a single mom, so, you know, it was just great. So ever since then, even now, we'll joke and be like, oh, I got this, like, we have a joint account, so it doesn't matter who pays for whatever, like, it's all coming from the same place. So we'll still joke like that every now and then too, which is funny. So anyway, we started dating in November 2011. And then I was in that little apartment, just Lacey and I, and so then we were dating, and then he was spending the night, and he actually lived with his parents at the time. He was helping them out financially, so that's why he was like across the street. He lived really close, but he was living with his parents at the time, so we never went over there or anything to like hang out or spend the night. I mean, we did go over there and have them meet Lacey and stuff, like after we started dating, like mid-November or towards the end of November or something, maybe around Thanksgiving, I think, is when we took Lacey over there. So she was almost 11 months old by that point. And still, Bob completely out of the picture. Forget about Bob now. Bill, her biological father, still was not like around or anything. So and I had asked him, you know, I asked him and tried to have him come over multiple times and be involved and all that stuff. Trust me, I was trying, because I was like struggling. I'm like, hey, this is your kid, like, take care of her, you know? And he was just like, nope. So anyway, he did come over for her very first birthday though, to watch her try and eat a piece of cake. I have a picture, which I'm not going to share with you, but I have a picture, and yeah, and I had a conversation with him, you know, and Matt knew that he was coming over because him and I were, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend at the time. So he knew he was coming over and everything. There was nothing weird going on with Bill or whatever. But yeah, I even tried talking to him again about it. And he brought her a bear, like a bear that you get out of a crane machine for like 50 cents at Walmart. That's what he brought her for her first birthday, and like barely talked to me. So that was great. We've since thrown the bear away. Anyway, so February 2012, Matt and I got engaged February 7th, I think, 2012. Is that right? I think so. And lo and behold, little did we know, a week or two maybe later, we got pregnant with Connor. I don't remember where I was gonna go with that. But he was like around, he was involved, he was taking care of Lacey. And also by this point, like, he was there and available, and we were actually on like opposite shifts. So he had been staying with me quite a bit. So, we moved in together January, February, or March. I don't remember, because we had dated before, so I knew him, so it wasn't like some brand new person. We were re-getting to know each other again and stuff, but it, you know what I mean? It was just really easy, and it was like we'd known each other for years, and it was like we'd already been dating for years and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't like feel very fast to us, you know what I mean? But since we had just gotten engaged, and then we announced a pregnancy, my parents were still like, oh, you got pregnant a second time out of wedlock. Great. You know, his family was really excited, and they also took Lacey in, like she was his already, you know, and they have, you know, all these years, and it's great. Like, she doesn't know anybody else besides Matt, you know. She was so young. Like I said, she was like 9.5 months old when he came into her life, and Bill has never been in her life, even to this day, which I'll get maybe further into that a little bit later. Also, Lacey does not know that Matt is not her biological father. She does not know about Bill or any of this information. Our immediate family, like my parents, my brothers, obviously Matt's family, like, we're all aware of this, and nobody ever says anything, because it doesn't matter. He was there for her first steps. He was there when she started crawling. I mean, he was there to help me remove her G-tube out of her stomach. You know, he was there for doctor appointments. You know, he's been there for her when she's been sick, not feeling good, when she cut her head open on the windowsill and had a staple put in her head, when she had double pneumonia, when she started kindergarten. I mean, all that stuff. Like, Matt has been there for that. Like, he is her dad, you know, and it means so much more to be a dad than a father. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so she doesn't know about it. We plan to tell her when she asks. Bill's mom and dad, or mom and stepdad, are still involved in their lives and also have brought in, you know, the boys, Connor and Bo, as their own grandkids too, and has babysat them and had them to spend the night, and they get them gifts for, you know, Christmas and birthdays and all that stuff. Like, she is still involved, which that could be another story. She hasn't always been the greatest person because her son was the biological father, so she was going behind our backs, and there were some trust issues years and years ago about some things. But anyway, she's always been there to help and talk to them and love them, and they don't say anything about it when she was still little and doesn't remember when they would try to sneak Bill around her and stuff like that. But anyway, whenever she realizes that she has, because they call them Nana and Tata, Bill's parents are Nana and Tata, and then my parents and Matt's parents are just grandma and grandpa. But she doesn't quite understand like how family works, like who's, you know, cousins, and she doesn't even understand like how my mom is my mom, but my mom is her grandma, you know, but like I'm Lacey's mom. She doesn't understand. She doesn't understand like the levels of family, or like aunts and uncles or cousins, or she just sees them as family members, you know what I mean? So if and whenever that comes up and she notices, or she will ask a question about it, then we will tell her. We haven't told her because she was too young to understand, even now at 9.5, and she doesn't understand family members, you know what I mean? She's not going to understand. I don't want to confuse her. I want to make sure she is old enough and mature enough to understand the conversation and to understand like what happened and why we did it and all that kind of stuff. And if she wants to try to get in contact with Bill, I mean, I'm pretty sure I still have his phone number. Like, we used to try, I'll get back to that in a second. If she ever wants to try to have a relationship with Bill, we will try to see if he's open to that. We will not like be like, no, you can't ever talk to him, like he's a bad person, you know what I mean? If she wants to talk to him, we will make that happen, but I want it to be her choice because of everything that happened in the past and the person that he was. Who knows who he is now, but doing drugs and smoking and drinking heavily and just not making good choices, and he didn't have steady jobs, and then he was kind of homeless for a while, and just, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want her to have any part of that. And then she was too young, and he hasn't been around, so it hasn't mattered either. So February 2012, Matt and I got engaged, and we also got pregnant that month, which, you know, was not planned or anything necessarily. So like I said, my parents were thrilled about it. And we had talked about getting married maybe in November 2012, like on our like 1-year anniversary. But I've said this before, we adjusted the date, and we actually got married 10/11/12. So October 11th, 2012 is when we got married. I was 9 months pregnant with Connor. I was huge. I was massive. He was born November 28th. We got married October 11th. So I was like about to pop, and yeah, so we had him. I plan on doing a birth story about Connor and Bo as well. My battery is dying, so hang on. Okay, you seem closer. Anyway, what was I saying? Well, I guess I could backtrack to that too. Okay, so even before Connor was born and after Connor was born, Matt and I, because Matt and Bill had met at some point or other, or a few times, I don't know. They had seen each other, met each other a few times. And we had, or not a few times, maybe once. So we had tried multiple times. Like, I would call Bill, we were texting about him coming over. because he kept saying that he wanted to start to get to know Lacey. He wanted to be involved, he wanted to be around, and we would set up times. We were living in an apartment. I think this might have been after Connor was born. But he had said that he wanted to start to get to know Lacey. And originally, that's right, he wanted to have me drop Lacey off to him. And I'm like, she's like 1.5 years or almost 2 years old, or maybe was 2 years old. She's never met you before that she remembers, obviously. So you're a complete stranger to her. I'm not just gonna go drop her off to your house. Also, based on the history, and little did I know at the time, he was still on drugs at this point. So I'm really glad that I didn't let her go over there. But I'm like, I need to see her around you. Like, do you know how to take care of her? Like, she was lactose intolerant at the time also, which she did grow out of when she was like 3 or 3.5, I think. So I'm like, you know nothing about her. She doesn't even know you. Why don't you come over to our apartment, you know, and I can like watch you with her and like teach you, you know, like how to take care of her and whatnot, you know, give you information. And she was still in diapers at the time, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not just gonna drop her off just because she's your daughter. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's like dropping her off with a stranger. And they know nothing about her, and here, take care of her, good luck, bye. That's rude. That's like messed up to do to Lacey. So he agreed to come over, you know, and he didn't want Matt to be there, and which was stupid. I'm like, well, Matt's her dad that's helping to raise her, so yeah, he can be here. But we were trying to be nice, and there was 2 different times that we set up a time without Matt being there for him to come over, and he never showed up. We set up so many times for him to come over, like a date, a day, a time for him to come over. He had our address, and he would never show up. And I would ask him, are you coming over? Are you running late? Like twice he said, oh, I got stuck at work. Otherwise, he literally ignored me. So it's not like we didn't try to have her biological father in her life. We tried so many times. It was like 1 year straight that we would set up times and he would not show up. Ever. He did not show up any of the times. And like I said, over 1 year, it was like once a month or maybe twice a month sometimes. We would set up these times, and he would either say he got stuck at work, or he would literally ignore me. I would call him and call him and call him. Are you coming over? Are you coming over? And it's not like I told Lacey anything, because she didn't know any different anyway. So it didn't really matter to her that he didn't come over. But like to Matt and I, hello, like, you're trying to be a parent, show up for your kid, you know? So we got tired of dealing with that. So we stopped like trying to initiate meetings and whatnot and whatever. And he wasn't ready. And like I said, I didn't know at the time, but he was like still on drugs and everything else. So he just, whatever, I don't know. We had moved from the apartment to a different house. It was the first house that we had rented. I did let him know every now and then when things happened, like when she cracked her head open on the windowsill because she was like jumping on the couch or something. She had to get a staple. We had to take her to the ER. Like, I let him know about that. When she was in the hospital with double pneumonia when she was 4, I informed him of that. Like, anytime she was like really sick or like something major happened, I did let him know, and he would just be like, oh, well, I hope she's okay, like, thank you for letting me know. But he was not financially doing anything. He was not, you know, sending money. He was not buying her anything. And I didn't go to the courts or anything. I didn't have anything set up anyway, so that's why I feel like he did nothing, because he didn't care. And maybe he was still upset about the whole Bob and Bill situation that I put them through years ago. But we had that test done. She's, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 years old by now, and he's still not caring to show up and be in her life or anything like that. So he started to check in about once a year. I think maybe shortly after we had moved into this house, because we moved to a different city. I don't know if that was why. But like, we had told him like, hey, we're moving from this city to this city. I didn't give him our new address or anything, but like, I wanted him to be aware and try and be involved, you know what I mean, with giving him information which he didn't care about. So, and by this point, like, Matt and I are married. We've had our own child together. You know, Lacey calls Matt dad. It's all she's ever known. blah, blah, blah. You know, we didn't like need him. We didn't need his money or anything like that. It just would have been nice if he had showed that he cared. Do you know what I mean? And Bob got married to somebody and had some more kids and then went to prison for stealing money off of like a truck. You know, the trucks that go to businesses and pick up their deposits, like, what is it, Brinks and Garda and whatever else, like those big box trucks that just have money and they have armed guards on there. Yeah, he stole money, like $24,000 or something, and then went to prison. So I can pick him, right? But at least I have Matt, so that's good. Just throwing that information out there. He would check in about once a year and be like, so when can I set up a time to hang out with Lacey? When can I start to be in her life? And literally like once a year, it was always, I don't know if he just had like this thing in his calendar that's like, oh, check up on Lacey. You know what I mean? But we're like, we don't want you around. Like at this point, she's like 4 years old, 5 years old. It's like, it had been too long. If we introduce you to her now, she's gonna be like, who are you? Oh, but this is your dad. Oh no, this is my dad. You know, like she wouldn't understand. She was too little, but also too old, I feel like, to like switch up things in her life like that. Do you know what I mean? So, and if he was checking in once a year, literally he would not call or text or anything. And then I stopped giving him information in regards to her health and stuff like that because clearly he didn't care. And he never asked to come like see her in the hospital or anything, any of the times that she had anything going on. He literally would just be like, oh, well, I hope she's okay. Oh, that sounds bad, you know, like, hope she's okay. Thanks for letting me know. Like, what? He would check in about once a year and ask, you know, when he can start to be in her life. And we were like, when she's older. You know, when she's older. So we just stopped trying to set up times for him to come over and meet her. It was gonna be too confusing, too weird. She wouldn't understand. And then when she was 5, I think 4 or 5, we actually had talked about Matt adopting her because she was gonna be starting kindergarten. She still had my maiden last name. She still had that last name. And we had talked about adopting her anyway. Like by this point we'd been married for like almost 3 years, you know, we had Connor and everything else. Like, you know, we had built our life together, our family together, you know, and Matt was Lacey's dad and still is. So we started to figure out all the stuff to go through with the adoption. And because Bob was on the birth certificate and we had done like a home swab test, it doesn't count or anything. I don't even have the paper anymore. Like it's years old at this point. And to have Matt be able to adopt Lacey, we had to get the father on the birth certificate to sign his rights away. And fun fact, Bob had, I think, me for sure, and I think Matt blocked on Facebook. I didn't have his phone number anymore or anything. I didn't know where he lived anymore. Like I saw the thing about prison like on Facebook or something, like somebody tagged me in it or whatever and was like, didn't you date him? So I didn't have any contact with this guy anymore. We had to message his wife on Facebook and be like, hey, like, please don't click off this message. Like we need to talk to Bob about something important in regards to the adoption and we just need some information from him, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember if they called each other or if they were messaging, but Matt actually talked to Bob and coordinated that together. They had to go get this like paper notarized and all this stuff to have him, you know, sign his rights away because he was on the birth certificate. So we did all of that and it was, what was it? It was July 2016? July 2016 because, okay, that was the date or the month of our court date. So July 13th, 2016 was the day that we actually went to court and we brought my mom and dad and my brother's family was there and Matt's family was there. It was just us. It was our immediate family for the adoption. So we had to sit in front of a judge. They went through all this paperwork. They asked Matt questions. They asked me questions and all this stuff. And you know, it was a happy occasion. Like Matt was adopting his daughter because she is his daughter, you know? So everyone was like crying and there were happy tears and it was just awesome, you know? And we also got her last name legally changed over to his, so all of our last names match, obviously. And my last name got changed when we got married. The boys, you know, have the last name anyway because they are his biological children. So we changed Lacey's last name over as well. And we also got a new birth certificate with Matt's name on it instead because Bob signed his rights away and did everything that he needed to do, which was great and awesome of him. Even though he, you know, dipped out on me, at least he came around and like did the right thing. You know what I mean? Not like it wasn't his daughter, he, you know, which is kind of sad because he was there for the pregnancy and there for the first handful of months of her life and then just like dropped us like we were nothing. But at least he came back around and did the right thing and signed his rights away. That's all he did. He didn't even cause any problems. He didn't really ask any questions. Like he understood what we were doing, you know, but he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that for you guys. And it was like really awesome and great and helpful. And also, okay, Matt came in to get a shirt. So I don't know exactly where I was just now. July 13th, 2016 was our court date. That was also the morning we found out that we were pregnant with Bo. So that was a fun-filled day. What we did was we had our immediate families, my parents, his parents, and his sisters and her husband and stuff. You know, our immediate family was there. But we went out to eat and then I think it was like lunch and then we did our court thing. But that morning, like when we were getting ready, like I took a pregnancy test because I was late and stuff. So that morning we found out that we were pregnant and we didn't want to tell anybody yet because that day was about Lacey and we didn't want to take away the excitement or the attention from the adoption and all that stuff. So we had to wait to tell them, which normally with Connor and with Lacey, you know, my parents were aware like right away that I was pregnant. So we were like extra happy and giddy. Like it was like literally the best day, one of the best days ever. Because the adoption and we found out we were pregnant with Bo. But we ended up telling my parents and his parents too, like a week later. I made this cute picture and we went over and told them in person and showed them this picture with like our shoes and our like years that we were born. And so there was a pair of shoes that said 2017, you know, so they were all looking at it and like, oh, 1990, 1990, 2010, 2012, 2017. And they were all like, oh, cute. Wait, what? And they were all excited and it was the first baby I had in wedlock. Thank you very much. And my last baby. But anyway, so it was a really exciting day. It was really hard to like not tell them we were pregnant. And Matt and I kept like making little sly like side jokes and talking under our breath about it. And I kept having to have him not touch my stomach because he would have given it away. Like it was just crazy. But it was a very exciting day. Yeah, so this July will be 4 years since the adoption has taken place. Lacey was 5 years old. I don't know if I mentioned that before. And I feel like whenever she does ask questions about it, it'll be because of that. She remembers that. She will ask even now to this day, Mom, what was that day we were all in like the courtroom and like our family was there and everybody was crying? Like that's all she remembers. So I just tell her, which is not necessarily a lie, but it's not the full truth either. I just tell her it was a celebration of family because it was. And that's all that I tell her because outside of that, outside of her asking questions about the day that our family was together in the courtroom crying, she doesn't understand or remember or realize anything different about her life. Like I said, she doesn't realize she has, you know, 3 sets of grandparents instead of 2. She doesn't know that most people only have 2. Like it doesn't, you know, it doesn't register. It doesn't matter. My cat is walking on the bed and so my tripod might be moving a little bit. So every July 13th now, as like our own little celebration, we do something special as a family together. You know, we'll go out to dinner, get a special dessert. We usually spend that whole day, depending on what day it falls on, if it's a weekday or a weekend or whatever, we'll like watch a movie together or play board games, you know what I mean? Like we always kind of re-celebrate the anniversary of the adoption without making it like obvious to the kids. You know, they're still, you know, 9.5, 7.5, and 3. So Bo has no idea. Connor doesn't even understand or realize it either. He doesn't know anything. So now you guys know, but before it was just like our immediate family for the most part, and like some of my friends, you know. So if you're ever curious why Lacey doesn't look like Matt, but she looks a lot like me, and then both of our boys look exactly like Matt anyway. So you can't even really tell. And now that Lacey has like grown up and whatnot, she definitely has features of Bill. She does still look a lot like me, but she does have some features of Bill, definitely not Bob. I'm pretty sure that test was accurate, even though it was like a home test from Walmart or Walgreens for like $20 or whatever the heck it was. She's, yeah, definitely not Bob's child. So he's still not around. Oh, he did stop asking, like I said, he would message me like once a year and talk to us about things, and then Matt would usually talk to him. Like he would call and talk to him about stuff and like talk him off the ledge, if you will, about trying to push about being involved in Lacey's life. And he had the audacity to threaten to take me to court about all of this. And I'm like, you realize that you're gonna get like 0 custody. You're gonna have to pay back child support, all this other crap. Like, you're not gonna get anything because you've literally never been around. Like, why are you trying to take me to court? Like, what? So still to this day, has never given financially, has never given anything except for that stupid teddy bear. Doesn't talk to her, doesn't care. I know that he's married now. I don't know for how long, and he's like 32 or 33, so he's a little bit older than me also. So I don't remember the last time that I talked to him. He stopped reaching out to us. I think he realized finally, because we would just say, we need to wait till she's older. We need to wait till she's older. Like, we're gonna wait until we feel that she's ready because we are her parents, you know? And Matt is obviously much more her dad and father than Bill is, because he has been there. He is raising her. He cares for her and buys her things and is obviously just there just like our boys, you know, and he doesn't treat her any different. I don't know what else to say with that. I don't remember the last time he even tried to reach out to me. It's been years. I think it's been about I think it's been like 3 years, give or take, since he has reached out to me. I think it was maybe the last time, maybe Bo was like a baby, or maybe I was like at the end of the pregnancy with Bo or something. Matt and I will celebrate 8 years of marriage. We've been together for 9. We don't really count the high school thing because we were apart for so long and all that other crap happened. But he's definitely not a stepdad in any of our eyes. He has been there. He stepped up, especially when he didn't need to. Like I mentioned with that little Walmart trip, it just made a really big difference, you know. And then we moved in together, and I mean, the rest is history. So, whew, teary-eyed again every time I think about it, you know. He's a great dad, he's a great guy, and we all love him. Gosh, I need to stop crying. So I'm gonna go. That was the story. Sorry, I told you there was a lot of shoot-offs and different roundabout ways of getting to the end of the story, but I just wanted you guys to understand that. But like I said, I will link Lacey's birth story in the iCard, or it is linked in the iCard for you, if you want to go back and watch it. So the boyfriend I refer to in that video is Bob, by the way. Seriously, like, thank God for Matt. Thank God that he came into my life. And that's why when I did the Q&A, somebody asked if I had any regrets. Like, that's what I kept thinking about, because do I regret sleeping with 2 different people in a 2-week time span and not knowing who the father of my baby is? I mean, kind of. It was an embarrassing, crazy situation, and it sucked struggling through all of that and having a preemie baby and being single, having to go through that. But my parents were there for me, especially my mom. She used to go visit Lacey all the time in the hospital and spend time with her because I was still trying to work. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. So if you're a single mom, like, I totally feel your struggle. If you have more than 1 kiddo though, I could not I could not imagine. It was hard enough with just the one, with, you know, being preemie and having all this extra, I mean, not special needs, but I mean, she was you know, on medicine, like I said, on special formula. She had that Mickey button. She had a feeding tube. Like, it was just a lot. It was a lot to deal with. And then Matt came in and helped, I mean, a lot financially. It has never been a question of like his money, my money, you know, splitting rent in half. It was just, we had a joint account from early on, and just whatever I needed, I needed. If he needed something, he needed something. It was just like we came together as one. I mean, as you do when you know, get married and have kids and whatever else. And as much as I hate that guy sometimes and we fight, you know, I love him to death. So, I mean, he just came into my life at a really great time and has just been great. So, oh my gosh, okay, I need to stop talking. I'm gonna go now for real. I said that and then I talked again for a while, but I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I don't know, comment down below if you can relate to any of this. I hope that you still think that I'm a good person. I mean, I could give you even more details of the story and whatever with her biological father, but it's really not important because Matt is her dad and he's here and he's my husband. But make sure to subscribe down below if you are new. I'm going to be doing Storytime Sunday every Sunday for the foreseeable future for now, and I will upload at the same time every Sunday. So also hit that notification bell so that way you are notified of the uploads as well. And also go head over to Instagram and or Facebook if you'd like to follow me there as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.